So, I can imagine what you're thinking. I wonder what he's got up to. Well, I had a look around the concrete structure, which is actually a gun emplacement, or a World War II gun emplacement, and I stealthed my way in, and I found quite a nice little spot, which I wasn't anticipating, which is on the roof. So I'll just show you around. There's my tent, all pitched. Not the strongest pitch in the world, but there's virtually no breeze at the minute, a few mile an hour at best, so I think we're all good on that score. As you can see, I'm nicely tucked away here. Got a little bit of a lip at the time, just a bit back from the gun emplacement. The guns would have been just below this roof. So I'll just extend this up a bit and we'll have a look. There you go. So, to quote my good lady wife, well, that's different. Yeah, that's what I thought, and yeah, that's what I'm here. Additional advantages, it appears to have toilet facilities. No, you needn't worry, I'm not going to use them as a toilet, but I'd be lying if I said the thought hadn't occurred to me just by looking at them. But yes, so here we are. So now I'm just going to get some scoff on. I'm going to knock a bit of food up and I'll show you what I'm cooking, because that's kind of mandatory on these types of videos from what I've seen. And you might be interested in my cook set anyway, so I'll bring you back on my other camera in a minute. Right, so what we've got, so this is my cook set, and I do sort of tweak it a little bit, but this is where we are at the moment. I've been doing some testing because on the coast to coast it's not so critical, but on the Cape Wrath I want to know how much fuel I need to carry, and I would like to take an alcohol burner. I'm not so mad on the gas burners. I quite like the alcohol burners. They're just quieter and all the rest of it. So I'm just working out how much fuel, can I take all the fuel in a oneer? And I think I probably can actually. I'm looking, so far I've worked out a litre will definitely be enough, but I might be able to get that down a little bit. Because this will do a boil in, with 20 mil, we'll do a boil in 7.5 minutes. But I don't know how much is left after that. I haven't really tested it properly, so I might be able to get that down to 10 mil of fuel, in which case that would halve the amount I would need, but I would still carry, I'd still maybe carry a litre, but I know I wouldn't have to worry then. So this is my little lightweight setup. Got this a while back. Used bits and pieces from it, but haven't used it all as a oneer for a while. But, got these little pot stands in it. the downer goes in there. So yeah, I've got I like a coffee bag in the morning, got my tea bag, so I've got my brew kit in there as well. Got my powdered milk, tea bags, sweeteners. I've got some spare matches, weatherproof matches, and I've got this little lighter. I like this one because I can see the fuel in it and I can top the fuel up, so it's quite powerful as well. So so yeah, that's quite good. Right, let's get some water. I'm hoping the weather will hold out. It's yeah, it's looking a bit sort of grey at the minute, but on in my cup as well. So I've got my cup, my bowl and my plate here now. I showed the bowl and the plate last time, I didn't show the cup. These are dead light and I love the way they fold flat. So I'll just put the cup together. They're easy to clean these as well, so there we go. The thing I like about this is, apart from the fact that it folds flat and it's dead light, it's got measurements on the side. So if you want to measure an amount of water up to cook up, which if you're trying to be economical with fuel is a good idea, you've got millilitres on one side and you've got food ounces on the other side. So so that's all good. And yeah, some people might not want to like drinking out of that, but I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it's a good bit of kit that. So that's the cup sorted. Bowl on the go. There we go. There's the bowl done. Not sure if I need the plate, but I'll do it anyway. There you go. All done. Right. Right, so what we're going to do, so it's my food bag for tonight in the morning. So I wonder what delights we've got in here. So we've got a dolmia, pasta sauce, tomato and chilli. I can just cook that straight in the pot. Go with that. Got some spicy chorizo and chili cheddar rollitos. Very nice. In the morning, got a food of hiking champions, flapjack. I've got a Mars bar if I want a cup of tea later, top of that. Also got some noodles. These are Indomie mee goreng, which are cracking. And I've also got some original fruit pastry. So I'm not going to starve, let's put it that way. All healthy food, as you can tell. I definitely throw the rules out the window when I'm camping. But who doesn't, to be fair. Right, first thing I want to do is get this fired up. In one, as Ted Rogers used to say. Or ball, you know. No, it's Tony Green, wasn't it? Bullseye. Right. These open. Just got to get. Where is it? Come in, your time is up. A bit of water. And a bit of coconut oil. Coconut oil, that's a whole chat on its own. I shall tell you all about that if you don't already know, but amazing stuff. Eating, peeling, you name it. Coconut oil can do it. Right, let's get that there. Right, now put it on the bloody rain now. Think that through, did I? The other thing I've got tonight is Northern Monk tank petrol. I always say to the missus, I'm going out to get some petrol. If only she knew. And some more Northern Monk Heathen. That's for all you non-Christians out there. All right, that's a Christian joke. Okay, no need to get too excited. All right, we are all heathens. Well, some of you anyway. Yeah, so there's my two tipple tonight. In fact, the Heathen is we've got 7.2%, I think. So yeah, it's got a bit of a kick to it. And the tank petrol is 6.5. So I did take some pastoral advice on alcohol, and yeah, it's okay for Christians to have alcohol, just not too much of it. Because if you know anything about the faith, then we do communion with wine and everything. So yeah, alcohol is allowed, but you should not get intoxicated. But that's okay. I've done plenty of that in the past. But those days are over for me. Right. I think we're really done on that. Oh yeah. So now you're thinking, oh no, he's messed the pan up, that's going to be a nightmare to clean. Well, yeah. It will take a little bit of cleaning, but that's with my personal kit, which I always carry. I've got a bit of this all-purpose soap. Bit of that in there. Right, I guess it's time to show you around tonight's luxury accommodation. This particular tent is a favourite of mine for reasons that I'll reveal shortly. It's the Big Agnes Copper Spur H2O XR3i Okikoki 3000 or something like that, but it's a Big Agnes Copper Spur, 2-person. It comes in around, with the footprint, around 1.5, I think, 1.4, 1.5 kg, but totally respectable, no issues there, pretty lightweight because it's got DAC poles as well. So just taking you around, showing the features. It's a palace for one person. I'm 6'2", 15 stone-ish. It's a palace for me anyway. Plenty of headroom, plenty of room for everything, as I'm going to show you shortly. It's got excellently configurable doors that you can tie back on both sides and basically see completely through, as a lot of these types of tents do these days. The vestibule is pretty decent size. They're not overly massive, but they're definitely big enough. I would say it's a 3+ season tent. It can be used in rougher conditions. If the wind gets up, the best strategy with this is, because it can push down on the frame and push it in, is, see these two guy lines here? If you get 2 trekking poles, stick them up, lean them out, and tie them down, pull in those two, if it's this, the wind's coming in this direction, pull it forward, and that will hold the tent's shape, and obviously if it's the other end, do the same. And that seems to work pretty well. I'd say it's good for probably 50-mile-an-hour winds, which is pretty respectable. Once you get over that, then I think you're in trouble with most tents, really. So let's go and have a look inside, show you some of the features that I like. Right, okay, let's see if I can go a bit wider than this. Okay, right, so as I say, vestibule is pretty decent. One of the things this tent scores big on is pockets. There's a pocket down there on the left, pocket over there on the right, if I remember rightly. Have a look in a minute. Nice big pocket up there. As you can see, Axel, what I like to do is turn him on his back. That's my sit pad. It folds up into a sit pad and put it in a dry bag, and that's my sit pad. But when I'm not using it as a sit pad, I use it to put my sleeping mat on, and also use it to rest Axel on, so I can sit comfortably on that with a backrest in here, no problem whatsoever. So that's tidy for me. Right, just bear with me a second. Just pivot round. Right. From this end, I absolutely love that. I call it the parcel shelf. It can take tons of gear, that thing. Absolutely superb. So yeah, if you've got wet gear, you want to dry it or anything, you can just chuck it on there and forget about it. And it doesn't drag the tent because of the design. It doesn't drag the tent in or anything. It works great. As you can see, I would say there is room for, you could squeeze 2 in here, with not with the size of the mat I use, the Flextail. Well, I should have called it the Flextail Titanic, because you could sail on that thing. But no, if you've got mummy style and you're not too big, well, 2 of me would be a struggle, but you know, 2 smaller people would probably be okay. But as I say, for one person, it's a palace. And one of the things I like is, obviously I like to put Axel up and sit like that and chill out, and but I don't like having to do my sleeping mat last thing at night, you know, because if I put my sleep mat in, put Axel on top, I don't really like doing that if I can avoid it. So the vestibule is big enough so that I can pump up the Flextail Zero and stick it out there. It pokes out the bottom a bit, but you know, it's waterproof, it doesn't really matter. And just wipe it off, and when I want to sleep, and I'll just pull it in, plop it down, fold up Axel, and I'm ready to go. So so yeah, that works really well for me. So you've got a loop at the top there for a light. Stick my light up there, yeah. But yeah, it's a cracking tent. I would say it's a Swiss Army knife, this one. You can use this. I mean, obviously I'm on a roof tonight, so that's not ideal. I mean, if I had my lamb shank, that would be a bit tricky. That's right, you know. But because it's freestanding, then you know you can just use rocks and bits and pieces, and it's fine. The other thing I like about it is you can use it as a temporary shelter. So just using the ground sheet, the poles, and the fly, you can make a great little shelter. You don't have to, you know, without the inner in it. It would only take 5 minutes to put that up if you wanted to get some respite from conditions, you know, from bad conditions. So works really well for that. Or you can, you know, if you're guaranteed a dry night and you want to look at the stars, you can just take the fly sheet off. So it's really got a lot of flexibility, this tent, and that's the thing I really like about it. I mean, Americans don't seem to get much right these days, but this is one of the things they have got right, I'll be honest. So Joe Biden definitely didn't design this tent, that's for sure. But one thing I have to show you that does make me laugh, just bear with me a second. According to the writing on this tent, see it, you got this architecture by Jake La. Architecture? A tent? Really? Do you really need to be an architect to design a tent? I don't think so. I think that's a bit nonsensical. How about designer Jake La instead of architect? I think that's stretching things a little bit, but it made me laugh anyway. But yeah, so this is the Big Agnes copper spur. Cracking tent. Like anything, you get what you pay for. It's not the cheapest tent, but it is a blinding tent, this one. And yeah, it's I'm in 2 minds to take this on the Cape Wrath. I've got a 4-season tent, but it's just a tricky one. I'm going in April, possibly beginning of May, and I really like this tent. And this, you know, at the end of a hard day, this is a real luxury to sit in this thing. My 4-season is great, but it's hasn't got the space this has. It's a tough one, you know. I'm going to have to, maybe it'll come down to the forecast around the time when I go, but yeah, if I can get away with it, I would take this one. I think, you know, it's just a palace that you can relax in, so we shall see. But there you go, there's the quick review of the Big Agnes copper spur, UL, HV, whatever. I'm sure you can look it up. It's a 2-person one. I think I got it on ultralight outdoor gear. That's where I got it from, so they sell it. But there you go. While I was looking around, I just happened to spot a splash of colour up there. I don't know if you can make this out, but that is what they call a parhelion or a sundog. They do happen occasionally, but most people miss them. But yeah, that's what that is. Basically some light refracting in the clouds. But, yeah, so if you've never seen one, keep an eye out for them. They do happen from time to time, but that's what that is, a parhelion or a sundog. Just thought I'd give you a 360 from where I am. So here's my tent on top of this defensive battery. fields behind me. We scan round. There's another battery there, or what was a battery. It's the sundog I was talking about. We're into the open sea, back round to the headland. That's an old fort there. There's the harbour of Dale. And coming around again. Back to the start. So as you can see, I've got a cracking viewpoint, and nobody to disturb me or anything. So yeah, it's been a bit of a nice surprise, bit of a breezy bonus today. Blessed to find this spot. Well, I knew this spot was here, but blessed to get up here. I wasn't sure I would be able to. So so that's all good. Right, good evening everybody. Welcome to tonight's fireside chat. I know you've all been waiting for it. I can tell that this is the event you've been waiting for. So obviously we have to light the fire. So there you go. As you can see, it's roaring, so it's nice and warm in here. Right, so tonight, well, firstly, I've got a confession. I've just done the whole monologue, the whole fireside chat, and I forgot to switch the mics on. I've got these two. Started using. I've got this lapel mic and transmitter on top of my camera, and I used them earlier on fine, but you have to switch them on. The camera doesn't switch them on. We switch the camera on. So I've just done the whole lot and didn't record any sound. So that was great. But there you go. That's life. That's you know, these things are sent to try us. So anyway, so my original intent was to do something completely different to what I'm going to talk about. There was all these ideas in my mind what I was going to talk about, and then something else kind of cropped into my mind, and so I've completely changed what I'm going to talk about. And this was kind of triggered by a chap I saw on YouTube. So I'm a YouTube premium subscriber because I don't watch. I don't have a TV license. I don't watch normal TV. It's propaganda as far as I'm concerned, and conditioning, and that's another topic that I'll talk about at some point. But so I saw this chap, and he's a bit younger than me, which is not difficult, to be fair. You know, sort of just approaching 50, and it's kind of like, it was really sad. It was like, oh, my life's over, you know, my life's dull and boring, my relationship, my wife is dead, and blah blah blah. And I thought, how sad that you've got to post on YouTube, and how desperate you must be, etc. And I really felt for the guy. I did comment, and I gave him some what I felt was some advice, but I just thought, it made me think, because I read lots of comments on lots of different things, and there are so many sad stories and so many people in with difficulties in a bad place. You realise, you know, how sort of desperate the world can be at times, you know. And I was one of those people at one time, and I am going to get a bit spiritual here. So if you're an atheist or agnostic, you know, maybe stick around, because you know, most Christians were atheists and agnostic before they became Christians. We weren't all born into Christianity, you know. So you know, I was drawn into Christianity by a number of reasons, but one of those was listening. There was some key people, you know, eventually, or some key events in my life. So you know, stick around. You might learn something. You know, it might not be for you. That's fine, but you know, hopefully you'll get something from it. So don't sort of switch off just because, oh, this is a wild camping channel and this guy's now going to talk a bit about God. Well, okay, you know, what do you want me to film? Do you want me to film myself lying on my pillow? You know, that's the kind of way I feel about this part of proceedings. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm doing the fireside chat. And if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. But anyway, so yeah, it saddens me because I've been in that place. I call it the God-shaped hole. I had a God-shaped hole in my life. I used to kid myself. I used to say, you know, I used to kind of hedge my bets. Like, yeah, I'm a deist. You know, well, what does a deist? Well, that means, oh yeah, there is a kind of a greater thing, but I don't really know what it is. And so it's a cop out, really. You know, it's kind of hedging your bets. And anyway, I eventually came to know Jesus and to know God, and it's changed my life incredibly. But one of the things that I used to struggle with before I became a Christian was, well, it was an interesting question because I've been through some stuff. You know, I'm not saying I'm unique. Lots of people have been through lots of trauma. I'm sure there've been people who've had worse trauma than I have. But I've been through some pretty nasty stuff, to be honest with you. And but I always somehow found the strength and the resilience to dust myself up, get up, and carry on. And I've seen other people fall by the wayside, and I thought, well, you know, maybe their time comes at a different time and I don't see it, and I sincerely hope so. But I've always thought of myself, I'm pretty resilient. You know, I've taken some real kicks in the whatsits and I've got up. And I used to wonder how that is. You know, how do I do that? You know, and then one day on the cesspit that is Twitter, it's now X, but it is a cesspit to be fair. Although there are some good amongst all the dross, there are some gems that you struggle on. This was one of them, and this was part of my journey to finding God. And I just want to read you something, and it's not from the Bible, it's not scripture, but it is from someone who's a Christian, quite clearly. And it for me, it just resonated like you wouldn't believe. And it was, as I say, it was part of my journey to finding faith and eventually my baptism. So I just want to read you this, and if only one person hears this and understands and it resonates with, then my job is done. Hopefully more will, but if I just get one person to think, then this will have been worth it. So just bear with me. I'm just gonna read this to you, and this is typical. I've had the microphone failure. Now I've lost my page. Bear with me. This is as I say, this is it's kind of called a poem, but it's more of a parable, I would say. Right, here we go. So it's known as footprints in the sand. There are some other names for it, but generally it's known as the footprints in the sand. So it goes like this. One night I dreamed a dream. As I was walking along the beach with my Lord, across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you the most, you would leave me. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Didn't read that particularly well at the end, so I'll just read that last bit again. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. And that's what I came to learn, that God is always with you. God is there for you. You just have to understand that. And that's where I got the strength from. The strength that I got that enabled me to pick myself up, dust myself off, and carry on was God's strength. That was the strength that God gave me. And once I understood that, everything made sense to me. And it's the case for everybody. So that's really what I want to say. There's bound to be people out there who may be looking at this. They might not even be into wild camping. They might have just stumbled across it. I don't know. Who is going through troubled times, who's having trouble in their life. And I would say to them, reach out to God. If you're not a Christian, if you feel alone, you're not alone. You just need to understand you're not alone. And once I understood that and I reached out to God, my life changed. Well, it's like the winning lottery ticket, because you come to realise that money's not what you need. It's far deeper than that. My life has changed immeasurably. It's interesting because I found my faith, and my wife wasn't a Christian, and she's certainly been through a lot even before we got together. She was very patient. I didn't proselytise to her, but she listened to what I had to say, and in a fairly short period of time, she came to know God as well. So, I would just think about that. Go and read the footprints on the sand yourself and let it sink in, because God is always with us. It's like the wild camping thing. I should have said in my last video. It's like I kind of made out as a bit like Billy No Mates, but it's because I don't feel alone. I don't mind. I really don't mind. Yeah, it'd be nice to go out and wild camp with someone else, and I've done it with my eldest daughter. When she comes and sees me, she'll come with me, and she has done, and that's great. But when I do this, I don't feel alone. I'm not alone, And I would say, and I read people who are sort of, I read these things. Oh, my first ever wild camp, and I'm terrified, I'm frightened, or whatever. You don't need to be frightened, because God's with you. You just need to understand that, and when you understand that, and have a relationship with Him, there's nothing to fear. So yeah, I just want to reach out to anybody who may be watching this, who's going through tough time, going through hard times. And if you want to reach out to me, if you want to contact me, use my email and that's fine. I'm happy to talk. I'll talk to anybody and try and help them. I know the difference it's made to me, and if I can help anybody, or even just advise them, if they're just kind of, Bible curious, I suppose would be the expression I would use, where to start, what to do, because believe me, no Christian converted me to Christianity. Something happened to me, and I had no Christian in my life at all, nobody, and I didn't know where to start. So I've been through that loop. I'm like, what do I do now? I've experienced this thing. I know what it was. What do I do now? Do I suppose I better get a Bible then? What Bible do I need to get? I do need to get what study Bible do I need? So I've been there, and I couldn't even go to church when I first had my epiphany. And it was a physical experience I had. I was like, I didn't even feel worthy to go to church. It took me a while to even do that. So yeah, I understand that, but that's maybe a ways down the road for some people, and some people may just be, just watching this out of idle curiosity, and that's fine. But I would say to anybody, go and read Matthew 7:7 in the Bible. Read what it says. Knock and you will be answered. That's exactly how it works. If you ask God to reveal Himself, He will reveal Himself. You won't see. You won't get some bearded old guy in a path in front of you, I can assure you. But He will let you know that He exists, through Jesus, or that will happen one way or another. Trust me, it does happen. You just have to ask with sincerity, and God will reveal Himself to you. And that's the test of faith. And that's what I found. So for anybody out there who's struggling, there is an answer, but you have to be prepared to ask the question. So that's it really. That was completely different. I had something absolutely not spiritual really at all, completely different to talk about, and that's how God works. He steers you, he guides you. There's no booming voice in your head. You just it's difficult to explain, but any Christian will tell you that you are compelled in a way that is really, you know, once you understand it, it's not strange, but at first it's like, where did that come from, that thought in my head? You know, it's just how it works. So yeah, so hopefully this has been of help for someone. You know, if anybody who's come on Weekend for Wild Camping is stormed off in disgust, well, I'm sorry about that, but you know, I am who I am, and this is how I'm going to do my channel. I'm going to do some wild camping. I'll try and help people on with my experience on that, but occasionally I'm going to talk about my faith and spirituality as well, and I'm going to talk about other stuff. So today you got a bit of the spirituality, and I sincerely hope that have helped at least somebody and hopefully more people. So yeah. Anyway, that's it's getting a bit warm in here now. I better turn the fire off. But yeah, so that's it for this evening, and I shall be turning in, and I'll bring you back in the morning. And God bless, and good night to all of you. Hope you can hear me okay above the wind, but as you probably guessed, last night didn't quite go as planned. Over there on the roof is where I was. I'll just show you where I ended up. So this is where I finished up. Reason being, the forecast before I went up on the roof was for a fairly mild night. There wasn't much wind when I pitched up, a few miles an hour. So I was looking good for the night. There's a bit of a risk being up on the roof, but I thought, well, the forecast is looking good. Turns out that the forecast was wrong, and I started getting buffeted around the early hours. Felt like it was sort of 10, 15 mile an hour winds. I thought, well, that's okay. I'm okay at the moment. I sort of dozed, and then the wind picked up again, and I just thought, as a precaution, I've got the Met Office app on my phone, and I checked the Met Office forecast, and it was showing towards the 4 or 5 o'clock and onwards 30 mile an hour winds. Well, 30 mile an hour winds up there is not going to work. And I was about 2 foot from the edge of the building, so no, I thought I need to bail out. So that's exactly what I did, and I had to. It took me about an hour because I had to pack everything up, pack the tent down in the wind and the rain. It was chucking down with rain as well, and get it down here and unpack it all again. So a bit of a laborious process, but I just took my time. All worked fine. The tent didn't go flying off. I even put my waterproofs on, so I was good. Didn't get a soaking as such. Came down here, and yeah, and just had insult to injury. My air mat decided to bail out on me and has now got a slow puncture, so I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. But that's okay. That's the way it goes, and actually I quite enjoy it when you get a bit of drama, because it's all good training really for if you're out on a multi-day hike and you have problems. This is all good practice for me, so I can cope with that. So yeah, so this is where I am now, and I'm going to it's coming up to 8 o'clock now, so I'm just going to have a cup of tea, a bit of breakfast, and then I'll start packing down. I'll bring you back in a bit. Well, good morning, campers. On what I can only describe as the morning after the emotional night before. So yeah, so I'm just going to get my morning brew sorted, and I'll just review a few things. So yeah, that was quite an emotional evening, and the losing my Flextail mattress just topped it all off. But see how good Flextail customer service is, because I've had it less than a year. I've only done about 10 trips in it, so we shall see what their response is. Whether they're going to keep me as a customer or lose me. So, but God willing, it'll all be good. So yeah, just having my morning coffee, which I definitely need. I can tell you that much. So, right. Good news on the. I'm pretty sure I've got my boil time down to. Well, in fact, I know I have got my boil time using this setup down to 10 mil. So 10 mil in about 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes. So that means I can definitely. I carry a litre of meths, even 900 mil for the whole of the Cape Wrath. I'll be good. So pleased about that, because I don't really want to have to. It's all very well and good saying, yeah, you can resup at a certain place, but if you go to that place and they just happen to not have meths or you have a problem, I just don't want to be dealing with that. Food is not a problem. You know, you can get food along the way, but sometimes things like meths or fuel canisters aren't always a given. So I'll rather take the pain out of that one, and obviously as I go, I'll be using up. You know, the weight will get lower with food and everything, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, and see, I'm sure there are people out there still laughing at Axel, but this is what I take him everywhere with me. I'm in a concrete bunker, nothing really to sit on except for the floor, dirty floor, so Axel to the rescue, and I'm comfortable. So, and it's a nice height for me for doing my cooking and everything, so yeah, there is method to my madness, and I don't mind carrying him, it's not that heavy. Yeah, so I guess this is the wrap up really, because I'm going to be packing up after this and toddling off home. So yeah, I couldn't really film what was going on last night on the roof. That would have just made it a whole world of pain. But for those who are watching who are new to wild camping and that, sometimes that's what you've got to do. I was fortunate I could bail to basically underneath where I was camping, but that had been in my thinking, to be honest. So it wasn't I wasn't just lucky. I did think, well, if it does get a bit ropey up here, I've got somewhere I can go quickly. And yeah, it took a bit of time, but it was fine. And I think the key thing in those situations is to make your mind up and just do it. Don't and ah. I did wait to see if things would improve. They did for a little bit, and then it started getting bad again. And as soon as I checked and saw, 30 mile an hour winds could be happening, I'm like, that's it. The only thing that's keeping this tent on this roof is me inside it. And the minute I move, you know, if I get a gust over 30 mile an hour, I'm going to be over the edge with the tent. And although I generally consider myself to be bulletproof, I'm not sure going over the fall of 12 foot into a bramble with God knows what underneath in the middle of the night is going to do me any good. So I decided not to take the risk. And so yeah, the rest is history, as I say. I got down here, and yeah, my tent's managed to get a bit of a dry off and that, so that's all good. So yeah, so that's it from me on this one. So you have been watching another episode of Land Solo. If you like it, then obviously do the necessary if you want to. If you don't, then don't. But you know, and if you have enjoyed it and you want to share it, then great. That'd be good. If not, I'll see you on the next one. Or actually, no, I won't. If you don't want to subscribe, you don't want to watch it, I won't see you on the next one. But for those that do, obviously, I'll see you on the next one.